Before I came to Eagles Nest, I really started doing all this stuff when I was 14 years old. Started experimenting with drugs and alcohol with my friends. I remember one time we broke into one of my friends' houses and we stole like a bunch of beer, and we walked around a golf course and just drank and all this stuff. And it started off just fun, you know what I mean? Like just having fun with friends and just doing things socially. But eventually, like over time, I started to abuse alcohol. I started to abuse marijuana and started venturing off into trying psychedelics and stuff like that. This past year was when things really started to just spiral out of control. I had got my wisdom teeth taken out and they'd given me pain medicine. And, I was eating them like sweet tarts. Like, it just spiraled out of control. One thing led to another. I was physically abusing my mom. She called the cops on me. Cops showed at up at my house. Said there was pretty much nothing that they could do, nowhere that they could take me. I mean, before that, my dad had thrown every single piece of clothing out of my closet out into the front yard. Just a very bad spot in my life. Next morning that I wake up, they come in and they say, you can either go choose to get help or you're going to move out. You're going to find a new place to live. You're going to find another job. I ended up calling the Eagles Nest. My dad had went through Duncombe before, and Robbie Maddox was intake counselor. He already knew where to take me because he knew that Robbie started the Eagles Nest. And so I gave him a call. Dre answered the phone, told me to call back the next day. Called back the next day, and they accepted me, moved forward with me, and I came up here the next day, stayed the night in Christiansburg, and was here at 11 o'clock. So being here at Eagles Nest wasn't always easy for me, you know what I mean? It's definitely had its ups and downs for sure. I mean, when I first got here, people say it's like a cult. And at first that's exactly what it felt like. It was very, very just different culture shock for sure. Didn't know what to expect. And when you first come in, there's a bunch of guys around you just like hugging you and telling you that they love you when it seems like they don't really even like know who you are, but they don't care. They don't. I mean, they don't care because the oftentimes all the people that you see here have been through the same things and know exactly what you've been through or can relate to you in some way or form. Being here at Eagles Nest was it's been great, really. Just getting to know that like people have the same problems with me and I can turn to anyone here. If I'm struggling with something, they'll help me out. One, I'm gonna start with journaling. Just being able to have communication with God. When I first got here, I didn't believe in God. They started to say, "Hey, we're gonna start journaling. We're gonna talk to God." I'm like, "What are you talking about, dude? We're gonna talk to God, really?" I came to understand it. Like it was just like it helped me out. Like when I sat there and listened to what God really had to tell me, and I put it to my feet and I actually walked it. I was like, man, this is really like this is making a difference, 100%. We went through inner healing, and in inner healing, I walked through a lot of forgiveness with forgiveness, judgments, all that kind of vows with my parents and just people from my past. Honestly, that's probably the most impactful part of the program that I've been through is inner healing. Forgiving myself was the hardest part of the entire program for me because I just felt like, I've done a lot of bad things to a lot of good people, and I really didn't deserve to be forgiven myself. I felt like I really didn't deserve to be forgiven, but God showed me that I can. I can be forgiven and I can be new. I can be a redeemed person. I don't have to be the same person that I was when I came in here. When I think about the person that I was before I came here, up until now, I'm just really, it makes me really grateful to be honest with you. Seeing how far God has taken me and just believing in Him has done in my life. When I first got here, I didn't want to hear nothing that you had to say. I mean, it was just in one ear and directly out the other. It was my way or no way. But here I've learned to have the humility to really just understand what people have to say. And, not everyone's here to tear you down. Some of the things that you hear, I took correction as rejection for the longest time. I never realized that those people were just trying to help me. And I never saw that as love. I saw love as like just physical, you know what I'm saying? I came to learn that like people who really try and help you are just pointing out things areas of your life where you're struggling. There's a lot of older people in here, but there's a couple other guys that were in the program with me, a couple others that were younger. But honestly, yeah, for sure, because it's like it's almost demanding for you to grow up because you're surrounded by these older guys, and it's kind of like, what's this little kid doing here? What is this kid doing here? But I don't think addiction has an age limit, you know what I mean? It's just it's it's what it is. We really had to take the time to really understand each other and get a feel for one another and love each other for who we were. Very, very grateful that my parents gave me this opportunity at being so young in my life. And, I think I've learned a lot from this for real. Honestly, people say addiction is a curse, but I don't really look at it that way. I see it as just a lesson, honestly, of the only thing in this life that you need to constantly be searching after is God. You can try to fill the God sized hole with anything but God, but the only thing that fits in that piece is God. It's like putting a square peg in a round hole. I mean, it just doesn't work. I'm extremely, extremely grateful for this opportunity and having this opportunity at the age that I am. I would recommend Eagles Nest to somebody because we've been living in the same ways that we have in our life for so long, and it doesn't just change overnight. It's a process. And coming to Eagles Nest is the greatest process that you'll experience and the best way that you can come out living sober and for God.